White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre criticizing Elon Musk for releasing those Twitter files. Watch this.
We see this as an interesting or a coincidence, if I may, that he would so haphazardly, Twitter would so haphazardly push this distraction. That is a full of old news, if you think about it. At the same time, Twitter is facing very real and very serious questions about the rising volume of anger, hate, and anti-Semitism on their platform, and how they're letting it happen.
Vivek Ramaswamy joins me now. All right, Vivek, a distraction, haphazard release. What do you make of that?
I think it's completely predictable because the number one takeaway is that one political party, and now the government in power, is working with companies like Twitter through the back door to censor content that they could not censor through the front door under the Constitution. And Stuart, President Biden wasn't yet president in October 2020 when the Hunter Biden laptop story was suppressed. That's what critics are saying, and that's correct. But it was a preview of coming attractions of how this president would govern. And that pattern continued while he was in office, all the way up to and including specific critics of the government who the White House targeted and told Twitter to remove. So I think this is really revealing, and there's a good reason why she was defensive.
I was talking to Jennifer Say earlier, former president of Levi's, who was booted because of politics, essentially. And I was saying, look, it just doesn't seem right. Major corporations pushing a particular political line, a particular culture onto their employees and customers and everybody else. It just doesn't seem right, Vivek. And that's where we are in America today.
That is. And you know what? There's a principle we can apply, Stuart. On one hand, we could say this is the free market and companies are free to decide who they do and don't want to hire. But we don't apply that standard even-handedly. And what I say is if you can't fire somebody because they're black or gay or Muslim or white or Christian or whatever, then you should not be able to fire somebody or deplatform somebody or censor somebody just because they're an outspoken conservative or an outspoken liberal either. We need to apply those standards even-handedly. And I think that's something that both liberals and conservatives, by the way, need to wake up to as we think about the future.
Vivek, I follow your team at Strive Asset Management, and I know that you've got a new fight against woke companies. Why are you targeting Chevron and Home Depot now?
Well, it says on the back of, I think, some successful engagements we've had across corporate America over the last several months, Stuart. And I'm happy to see the progress we've already had as a relatively new firm in having an influence on the way these companies behave. But I sent a public letter, you might remember, to the CEO and to the board of Chevron some number of months ago, pointing out a shareholder proposal in 2021 that was supported by BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard, which gained majority support, imposing Scope 3 emissions reduction targets on Chevron. That's to say not only their own emissions, but emissions of anyone in their supply chain, including even customers. I don't think that makes business sense for companies like Chevron. So I'm proud to say that we've worked with another shareholder to craft a shareholder resolution that would roll back the toxic effect of that 2021 shareholder resolution they were forced to adopt. Something similar at Home Depot happened with a racial equity audit, bringing identity politics into the hiring of a great American company. That needs to be rolled back because that, too, creates legal risks for the company and for shareholders. And one of the things we announced was the positive developments we've seen at other companies we've engaged with, like Exxon, to whom I sent a letter calling for greater diversity of thought in the boardroom. Guess what? Exxon recently announced 2 directors they were adding. Same thing with Disney. I'm happy to see the CEO was booted after Strive sent a shareholder letter to Disney some number of months ago. So I'm actually optimistic about this new excellence first movement, Stuart, but it isn't going to happen automatically. It's going to take shareholders and really everyone speaking up to drive that cultural change.
But well done. You're making changes. You're moving ahead on this thing. That's great. Vivek Ramaswamy. Thanks very much, Vivek. I'm sure we'll see you again soon. Thanks a lot.